There's something weirdly addictive about chasing the perfect way to listen to your music. A while back, I made the decision to just replace my smartphone music listening with just a simple little iPod setup, and that decision alone already changed so much for me and how I digest my music. But this is where things get a little bit more interesting. Allow me to introduce you to the tiny cassette-shaped music player called the Snowsky Echo Mini. It's a standalone digital audio player that plays high-quality music without any of the distractions of your phone, and it also gives you a really aesthetically pleasing look to it. This was initially a fun, low-stakes, random Amazon impulse purchase, but it ended up turning into literally one of the best audio setups that I've ever used. And it was incredibly affordable for what I'm actually getting. If you're new to DAPs, DACs, IEMs, or you have like no idea what those acronyms actually mean, then this is still and probably one of the better ways to dip your toes into the audiophile or audio listening scene where you can experience your music in a much better, high quality way. But if you are into audio already and you claim yourself to be an audiophile, then this thing still slaps. It's kind of insane what they packed in here for just under $60. So whether you're just getting started or you're looking for something new and fun to add to your music rotation, allow me to share with you why this has been probably the most fun I've had listening to music in years. One of the biggest selling points for the Snowsky Echo Mini is, without a doubt, the way it looks. I went with the blue version, but honestly, if the black was still in stock, I probably would have grabbed that instead. But it does look a lot like, of course, the Sony Walkman with that nice little blue color. Either way, whatever color you get, it's gonna nail the aesthetic. It just looks straight from the past, absolutely retro, but it sounds like the future. There is some branding on the shell. You've got the Snowsky logo on the front, and then they also added it to the back, which, I don't know why they decided to shove their logo on it twice, but I do like the font and the way that the Echo Mini looks in the bottom right, and it does add to the retro feel for it. It also has this compartment for a battery on the back, but it's not even real. It's literally a fake battery slot that doesn't even, come out of the device. And it's all just for the aesthetic. So I really appreciate their commitment here to the actual look of this retro device. Size-wise, I think they struck the perfect balance. It's small enough to slip into your pocket without it being too annoying or noticeable, but then large enough to still feel very tactile and fun to use. The plastic feels high quality and durable on the device, but my biggest complaint overall is just the fact that it's a little bit too hollow feeling and so lightweight. Maybe I'm just used to the iPod Classic, which is just like a tank and it's so heavy. So going from that thing to this sleek little sports car, it's kind of giving me whiplash here. On top, you've got 5 main buttons: the power, up and down arrows, play/pause, the menu button, and then a back button. The buttons are a nice little size and have a great physical presence. They stick out just the right amount, but I'm kind of running into a similar issue just with the hollow plastic feel of the entire thing, where I don't know, I just think that it doesn't feel amazing to push down the buttons or as tactile as it looks, and it definitely feels like it's not a super high quality premium device. But again, we have to remember this was only $55 on Amazon. And the fact that we even have buttons in the first place is already a W, because every single company on the planet right now is just removing more and more buttons, and everything is shifting away from that. So it just having something to push down, having buttons in general, we're at the point where that's already a good thing. You've got your audio jacks on the right, and on the left is a micro SD slot and a USB-C charging port. What initially intrigued me about this was obviously the aesthetics and the look of the device, but then what really sold me were the internals and what it's actually rocking under the hood. It's got 2 high-end hi-fi DACs, and it can push up to about 250 milliwatts at 16 ohms, which means, from my understanding, I'm not an audiophile by any means, so correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be comfortable enough to power most efficient IEMs and over-ear headphones that don't require too much power. You've got a 4.4 millimeter balanced output, which is a little bit unheard of at this price point, and of course a standard 3.5 millimeter jack. It supports the usual MP3, FLAC, WAV, and other formats, and it's also running Bluetooth 5.3. One thing to note though about the Bluetooth, if you're super into this stuff, is that it only supports SBC for Bluetooth, which from what I've gathered is just good for casual listening, but if you're into really high fidelity audio listening, it's not the best. It comes with an 1100 milliamp hour battery that'll get you around 15 hours of listening time, which is what it's advertising to give you, but I would say you can probably expect like anywhere from 10 to 11. It depends on the headphones that you're driving and how often you're using it, obviously. And finally, 8 gigs of internal storage with an expandable option through your micro SD card up to 256 gigs. Navigating the software is somewhat intuitive, but I found that it can just kind of feel a little bit awkward, especially with the use of the buttons. But once you do get used to the controls and how things actually operate, you start to learn the muscle memory for it, and you can learn to be smoother with navigating the software and listening to your music. Clicking the menu button will show you options like displaying the album cover, volume limits, playback modes, EQ settings, filters, gain adjustments. There's a lot of things that you can dive into here on the software side. Formatting the SD card here is really important. I've seen a lot of people having issues getting their music to show up unless they format it right. And even if you're inserting your card, the Echo Mini won't recognize the files until you go to the file manager and update everything and let it scan whatever it is that you just added. And you know, you got to make sure that you're actually putting in music with the proper tags and all that stuff. So if you've never had a digital audio player, then you're probably going to have to get over the learning curve of just understanding how these devices want to read and display the music and understand what the file actually should look like when you put it on the device. Overall, the UI gets the job done. It's not as satisfying as like the iPod Classic, but to be fair, this thing is under $60 and it's just kind of hard to beat Apple engineering, even if it is from 2005. So it seems like it's truly hitting a really good baseline in almost every single aspect of the device. And now the only thing that we have to do is make sure that we pair it with a proper set of headphones. Now this is where I dip my toes into a completely new body of water. I've never bought IEMs before. I've never used IEMs before. I do make music and mix and master music through HD6XXs, but for the most part, I would not consider myself an audiophile whatsoever. All that being said, I did purchase my first ever set of IEMs, and I went with an affordable, budget-friendly option of the Critical Zero Reds. I'll put the full spec sheet on the screen here. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm, an expert at this. I could have bought a horrible pair, but you know what? I'm already sold on these headphones because you've got an anime waifu on the front, which is just a sign that this is a high quality product. But in all seriousness, the packaging for this was actually really high quality and a good experience. There's a frequency chart on the back, and inside the box, you've got another waifu shot. So easy 5 stars on Amazon. The headphones themselves look and feel really premium, and you've got like this nice silver plated copper TRS cord. And with this being my first time using IEMs, I'm swapping from the Apple corded headphones, which actually I kind of enjoy the way that these sound, and that's why I always gravitated to them, because they're like 30 bucks, and I thought that this was still a great sounding set of headphones. But going from these to the IEMs that I purchased on Amazon has been like jumping from a 1998 Honda Civic into a 2025 Toyota Camry. It feels like I'm just skipping generations and just immediately getting introduced to just so much more quality. The Reds are clean, rich, and actually have a sound stage with them. Altogether, this setup cost me about 120 bucks. So that's 55 for the DAP and then 65 for the IEMs. And from everything I've seen online, I feel like this is a pretty reasonable entry point into the world of DAPs, DACs, and IEMs, and other acronyms that I could throw at you. And the first song that I listened to was the 25th anniversary orchestral soundtrack from The Legend of Zelda, and it was The Great Fairy Fountain. And I think a little bit of pee just dripped down on my leg after my first listen. And the biggest selling point here is simply the fact that it's offline. There's no notifications, there's no distractions, it's just you and your music. Everything on this device is something I personally picked and dragged over. That alone makes the listening experience feel way more intentional. So for my brain that's just been absolutely consumed by digital content and horrible internet media consumption habits over the past decade, having a device like this helps reconnect with the music itself. I even noticed that on Spotify, whenever I'm listening to new music and it's showing me different songs, I'm so much more likely to not even give a song the chance, because I'd rather just skip it and get the immediate dopamine hit of having a new song presented to me instead of listening and actually sitting with the music. It might not be for everyone, but if you enjoy physical, single-purpose devices, or if you want a little disconnect and to fall back in love with the music, then this could absolutely be a great lane for you. If you have an iPod or you do end up buying this device, just go on a walk. Don't even bring your phone. Go outside, listen to the music. Don't have any notifications, no distractions, and I guarantee you that you will feel a difference, because there's nothing else in your pocket that's asking for your attention. There's nothing that could distract you in that given moment, and that really helps you to sit with it. It's also really fun to build your own catalog of music. Some people have literally been building this discography of their own personalized music library for decades, and I wish I was one of those people who started early, because you can seriously build a huge catalog that you could be proud of music that you personally enjoy, that you took the time to find. Now, if we're comparing this to other stuff out there, I think the biggest one and the most popular item that a lot of people who are especially newer to the hobby would consider is just a simple iPod Classic. And the Classic is literally just a tank. It's heavy, it's iconic, but it's also beautiful. Meanwhile, the Mini is more like a sleek little cassette-shaped sports car in comparison. The iPod absolutely wins on the UI and build quality. That click wheel is just unbeatable. I don't know how you get a smoother experience than scrolling on an iPod Classic. But when it comes to the sound, file support, Bluetooth, and expansion, the Echo Mini absolutely leaves it in the dust. You can mod an iPod, but I think that's just even further down the rabbit hole. Meanwhile, the Echo Mini is just like a $60 purchase on Amazon, and it comes new. But if you're interested in an iPod, you might be spending upwards of $80 to $100 just to get a used condition that does not have any expandable storage. It doesn't listen or use FLAC files. It's just kind of a more pain in the butt situation to have to deal with versus just buying the Echo Mini. I didn't expect to dive this deep into audio, and all of this just started with me trying out a used iPod Classic that I found on eBay for $60, and somehow I ended up buying a DAP and also some IEMs. If you're even a little curious about this stuff, or you're just tired of the same streaming experience, maybe give something like this a shot. It's actually really helpful because now I have another set of reference headphones for whenever I do mix and master any of my own songs, and that's a good reminder that I do make music. If you want to listen to that, please hit up the link in the description. And that's about it for the Snowsky Echo Mini. I hope that you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.
Too much, don't say too much. You trying to make plans with a plastic touch. I'ma hit you right back with a peace sign. I'm a sucker for the short, not a long time. Never drop plan A for the beat line. Even if your name etched on a street sign, I'ma hit you